Joining us in studio now is Education Minister Jean-Francois Roberge, and we're also joined by Christopher Skeete. Of course, he's the MNA who is responsible for the Anglo Secretariat and English relationships with English-speaking Quebecers. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Of course, you're not here for good news. You're here because there's bad news. We have 3 schools that will be seeded from the English Montreal School Board over to the French Board. It's General Vanier, Gerald McShane, and John Paul, the First Junior High. By my count, Minister Roberge, we're looking at less than 4 months and 4 schools that are going to be seeded from English school boards, including Riverdale with the Leslie Pearson School Board. But in less than 4 months, we're up to 4 schools. The feeling that I'm getting from our listeners is like, it's a lot. It's a big weight to bear to lose yet another school, now 3 in one shot. Mm-hmm. Why did this decision have to be made?
Because decision has not been made during the past years. It's a shame that we have to take action right now. During maybe 2015, 2016, there has some discussion between Francophone school boards and Anglophone school board. But the problem is that it was only discussion and discussion and discussion. But during this time, there were more and more and more students in the Francophone school boards, and not enough places. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that I'm pretty sad today to announce this to the parents, to the teachers, to the students, by the media. I've sent a letter yesterday asking
but you know what?
the English Montreal School Board.
I don't think
not
the parents
to
care. I really don't think the parents care about how they're learning it. They care that they're losing the school, right? I just want to play you. This is from this morning. This is one parent who called us up and has a child that goes to one of these schools. Let's take a listen.
My son will be starting kindergarten in September, and we had chosen General Vanier as his school to start. In fact, I actually have another school closer to home, but after the open houses, General Vanier just struck our heart. We fell in love with the school, and we actually had our orientation earlier this week. My 4.5-year-old walked out of the school saying, "I love General Vanier," and I don't know how I'm going to tell him that that's not your school anymore.
So there you have it. One parent that's all set to go has a 4-year-old that was going to go there next year. Completely disappointed. What's the message you have for the parents? I don't want a deflection about how the communication thing, I think that's secondary. What really matters here is that we're losing another school. What's your message for that parent?
Well, this is not an easy decision, but we have to think about the student first. And every student, no matter what, if they speak English or French, every student has the right to have a place in school. And this is my duty as a minister. And we have to take care about the most vulnerable. And in fact, when during the discussion, English Montreal School Board only offer to share some space at Galileo School, and for that, their option was to move the children, the adult with special need. And by taking this action today, we are protecting the Anglophone community by protecting them to move those people from the Galileo.
I don't think, though, that Anglophones are feeling protected here, right?
Well,
Anglophones are feeling a little bit attacked. That's just the sense I'm getting, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, this is something I lived through, right? So I went to an elementary school. Mm-hmm. I had to move elementary school because it closed down. I was supposed to go to Outremont High. It closed down. I had to go to another school. My brother and sister, their high school, their elementary school closed down. So I've seen this firsthand. I've lived through it. It feels like at a certain point it weighs down all of the proposals. I know the MSB, they said to you, like, hey, what about a certain amount of newcomers to Quebec? Why don't we make an exemption, allow some of them to enter the English school system? Wouldn't that be a great way of sort of saying, hey, Anglophones, listen, we are going to transfer some schools. You're going to lose some schools because, you know what, you've got empty classrooms. We have to do it. But you know what? We value you. We care about you. And we're going to allow some of these students to go to English school as a lifeline. Wouldn't that have been a nice little happy medium here, a compromise?
So what you're talking about there when you say that compromise that you're talking about is Bill 101. right? So that's the elephant in the
There's
room.
exemptions to Bill 101. There's all types of exemptions.
Well,
I don't want to change Bill 101, and the Anglophones like me that have stayed here in Quebec, we accept Bill 101.
So
There's
then-
a lot of good that comes out of it. But there's exemptions to all of these things.
So then what you're talking about is immersion programs. Immersion programs require you to have your English language certificate. So again, changing Law 101 is two sides, right? We get as much pressure from our government to open up Bill 101 to make it stronger. On the other hand, we've promised not to touch it, and that means
I'm not saying let's not touch Bill 101.
Well,
but in that law, that you can make exemptions. You can. That's in the law. So why not here say, hey, you know what? We've got a situation. We're going to take schools from the English School Board, and I think the English school boards understand that. That's why they were giving you ideas. So do that, and at the same time say, you know what? With 30 spaces, 60 spaces, I want to give you guys a lifeline. Why don't you do that? And then I won't get text messages all show long and calls where people feel attacked. Like, hey, how low do the English school enrollments have to go before you're going to act to try and give us a lifeline?
Well, I think we're losing sight of the larger picture here, right? Because we're not responsible. We've been in power for 7 months. Okay, we're not responsible for this downward trend, this inaction that's been going on in Quebec. First of all, second of all, what we have is a crisis. We have 3,000 students who need space to go to school. Now, the Minister of Education his duty is to protect all students, regardless of Francophone and Anglophone. And here we are, a situation where the school board's proposal is to move adults that are extremely vulnerable. Now, of course, our ideal would be to let the school boards govern. We hear it all the time, right? Well, we're the duly elected representatives of the community. Let us, leave us be, and we'll figure it out. Well, we've let them figure it out. The Quebec government has let them figure it out now for many years, and they haven't acted. So, again, I don't think we should see the end result, which is the decision that we're seeing today, blind us from the fact that really the number one government of proximity that should have been taking action wasn't. Okay. And I think that's what we're losing sight of.
So let me give you that point. Let me give you January rolls around. You have to make a decision on Riverdale. And let me give you the point. Okay, you're only in power for 4 months. Clearly, that's a problem that started way before you. Now we're 7 months into your government. Now we close 3 more schools. At what point is your solution? Is it, next year we're going to end up in this situation again. French boards are going to need schools. At what point is your solution to this problem not going to be, let's just close an English school? When do you have to think outside the box here and say, let's make another decision that doesn't involve closing schools?
But why is it our decision? I think it's the school boards. The school boards themselves tell us all the time, well, we don't want the Quebec government telling us what to do. But the reality is, Elias, they claim to be the elected party here. So I would revert the question to them. Why don't they propose solutions that would allow us to get out of this reactionary endeavor? And I think that is the question that we don't ask enough. Because the school boards are very quick to tell us, well, we're elected, just leave us be. And then they criticize us when we have to take action because of their inaction. My challenge is to say, why don't you guys take your responsibilities as the elected people and do something?
Isn't that hard? And I'll bring it back to you, Minister Roberge. Isn't that hard to make that case when you're also, it's pretty clear you're going to close the school boards, you're going to shut the school boards down very soon? I'm hearing this announcement's going to come soon.
It's important to say that we won't close the school board. There are 9 Anglophone school boards. Yeah. We will transform those into 9 service centers for schools.
When is that going to happen?
We'll have to do so before November 1st of 2020, because if we don't, there will be another election. So we have to do so before, and we will transform them. We won't change the territories. Also, it will be the same. So 9 will stay 9, and the community will keep their control of the governing and the managing of their own system. It's really important to say that we will respect the Constitution and the rights of the minority.
So even though they're not going to be school boards anymore, they'll be service centers. Whatever changes you make, they're still going to be responsible for deciding how to manage their resources in those schools, and they're going to have to make these same decisions.
It will be an improvement of the governments, and both Francophone and Anglophone will benefit about.
To be clear, English control and English access is not negotiable. It's staying, and it's going to be a part of what we're envisioning. And not only that, it's being drafted in respect of the Constitution.
Minister Roberge, there has to be a point where you've thought about it yourself. I mean, do you put yourselves in the shoes of the Anglophone community? Is there any point where you say, man, if I was an Anglophone, boy, I'd understand. You know, you must have had that thought. So when you think about the position the Anglophone communities are, and they see more and more schools being closed, and they look at a future where they don't see the growth potential, what's your response?
I think if I was an Anglophone, but it's difficult for me to I don't think.
I think we can all put ourselves in different shoes. I think that's possible.
That what I want would be just the same that what I want as a father right now. I want a place for my child to be in a great school, to have what they need. They have a nice teacher, competent people. I want to control my system. And I'm not touching any of these. And in fact, with the transfer of those 3 schools, it's important to say that the Anglophone community, the English Montreal School Board, will receive millions and millions to improve their system, to improve their gymnast, their classroom, to hire some specialists, to take better care of all students with special needs. In fact, there's no use for the English School Board to take care of empty classes and to spend some money to heat them during the winter. They will get more money to take care about their child and their students. It will be an improvement.
As you look forward, this is the last question I got for you. As you look forward, a year from now, 2 years from now, do you foresee more schools being forced to close, be switched over to French boards?
Well, my answer to that would be these are duly elected people that control the school boards. What's their plan going forward? We'd love to hear.
You don't want school board elections eventually,
no,
right?
but they're still there, right? So they're still legally there. Why aren't we hearing suggestions and great ideas from them? Yeah. It's a mystery to me.
And why is the only solution they put front is to move students with special need. So if the liberal responsible for education, Madame Risky, and others liberal MNAs from the Montreal Island support us, it's because it's obvious that we have to take action.
Minister Roberge, Mr. Skeete, thank you both for coming in studio.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you opening up the dialogue here. I hope to have you back on the show real soon.